Hello, and thank you so much for joining me in this Reiki energetic session tonight, as well as first, I want to welcome you to my channel. Okay, I am Samara Andara, also known as Samara Anaya, also known as Sun Goddess Magic, Rose Empress Divine, Moon Goddess Charm, and so on and so forth. Priestess of Ancients. Okay, so my last channels and my last businesses were shut down. I was targeted really bad by archons, people who attacked me for my gifts, my goddess power, my energy, my beauty. And if you don't know, right now I kind of inhabit a space to where I have no control over the puppy, and I'm so sorry if you hear the barking in the background. I have no control over Nate Jacobs and what he does with his animal. And I love the animal and I feel so bad for the animal, but there's nothing I can do. I cannot enter in his room because, I'm a targeted individual and they will try to put me in the system, and I'm not going to jail tonight or any other night of my life in this lifetime. So if you hear the puppy, I'm very sorry. I have no control over what Nate Jacobs does with his animals. If you guys don't know who Nate Jacobs is, if you don't watch the series Euphoria on HBO or Cinemax or wherever it's shown, or even on excuse me, YouTube, the clips, Nate Jacobs is a man who is in his toxic masculine era, and he's got a lot of daddy issues to where he hides behind the issues, from his father wound, to where his father is secretly like in the closet. And Nate, the son, he has this tumultuous on again off again relationship with his counterpart, who is named Maddie. But then he starts branching off and having other relationships, like these sneaky links with a transgender named Jules, as well as a Karmic named Cassie. And so spirit guides want me to use these dynamics from these shows or these movies or these series or what you ever want to call it, to talk about karmic partners, to talk about soulmates, to talk about twin flame. So anyways, my nephew is he's very toxic masculine, to the point where he has to have a partner and people around him to where they have to stand down to him. And whether he archonically, goes in there and demands them to respect him with some toxic masculinity tactics, like things that cops use, like yes, intrusion, but also intimidation tactics is where I'm getting at, to the point where, or he will manipulate and archonically influence the females around him to put fear in them. He's very archonic, he's very alpha draconian. And it's my sister's son, and she's very much like Erish Kegel. Our dynamic is like Inanna, me being queen of heaven and sky, Inanna, and then her being Erish Kegel, to where how Erish Kegel, when Inanna descended into the underworld, Erish Kegel made Inanna, with each room, new cave room in the underworld she entered, her sister Erish Kegel made her take away a layer of clothing, to the point where she was fully nude and vulnerable, to where Erish Kegel, her sister, kills her and takes her life away, to where, in this lifetime, my own sister, or I should say, the woman who inhabited this body before me, because I'm a walk-in soul, her sister, even though I'm in her body. And if you don't know what a walk-in soul is, please go to my last video, or not my last video, but videos back, called My Walk-in Soul Experience. There's also another entity on here named like Aurelia Codes, Aurelia, excuse me, did not mean to mess her name up, so forgive me. She is another walk-in soul with a galactic extraterrestrial experience from the stars and the cosmos, and she's made her channel very cosmic goddessy, which I love. I'm more of a divine feminine goddess incarnate, to where, yes, I have cosmic goddess gifts, but I also have earthbound shamaness gifts. So what I want to talk about today is the difference between a karmic partner, a soulmate, and a twin flame. Okay, so I want to remove any tethers from archons, alpha draconians, alpha reptilians, and I did this earlier, to the point where, let me get my selenite rod. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking out any hooks, Okay? I'm so sorry about the puppy. I feel really bad for that beautiful creature's soul. He's got to be locked in a cage in a dark room. But I have no control over what Nate Jacobs does. Just like no one in Euphoria has control over Nate Jacobs but his own damn self, to the point where he's so out of control. He has, and no, this is no disrespect to people in the closet, people who, are LGB, there's no disrespect, but I'm just explaining, okay, like, he has a full-on, like, a karmic relationship with the transgender Jules. She's supposed to be transgender. I'm not sure if she was, I'm guessing she was masculine before, and then she turned feminine, because that is the darker part of Nate Jacobs, his shadow self, to where that's his real internal desires, because he masks, he hides behind a football player with this perfect outward persona to where he's popular, he's influential, and he takes advantage, of his he's toxic masculine. So his twin flame is supposed to be Maddie. Okay, she tells it like it is. She's very divine feminine, but she's got a lot of masculine fire energy in her. And then another, with Cassie, I heard in the season, like the next season that they're coming out with, that they actually get married, and I saw the preview for it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to see how this plays out. I'm not sure if Cassie is a karmic or a soulmate, but I know that Maddie is the divine feminine. I know Nate was the divine masculine, but then he's got these secret relationships, and he kind of expresses his father wounds through these secret, these sneaky links. And this is what archons do, okay? So archons are very like, okay, I'm gonna be a wolf in sheep's clothing, or not a wolf in sheep's clothing, but kind of like run with the sheep, but like have a double life, to where, like, political leaders do this. People in positions of power do it. People in marriages do it. They'll have sneaky links. They'll have sides. They'll have this one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And then it's like they'll be like telling each one they love them. And it's a fucking mess, to where it's a full-on situationship. There's a word that I'm looking for that they use today. It's a modern world. So I'm trying to get used to this, because I'm really an extraterrestrial soul, as well as a divine feminine. And, my soul is so old, to the point where I'm very Renaissance-y as well. I could be, and I hate using this word, but I can be very old-fashioned, to the point where my soul, I remember I've had a past life in the Renaissance era, to the point where my soul craves to be deeply loved, deeply longed for, deeply yearned for, deeply cherished, someone to court me, someone to do things, from the heart, instead of these shallow, sneaky link connections that are, triangulated, or karmic, or just so superficial and on the surface. Like, I'm like, okay, my soul was not made for this era. Like, I'm so like, and I want to be in my soft feminine woman era, but it's like the mortals today, the modern world, and the way that the archons have made, everything in this whole agenda of the matrix and going to a 9 to 5, they make it so hard, to where you can't really, it's really hard nowadays if you're not taken care of materialistically, or from a divine masculine provider protector, to the like divine feminines who long for this man who is of chivalry, integrity, dignity, good character, good morale, morals, and good intentions. It's hard to find people like this these days. It's hard to, without them being sneaky or trying to siphon your energy or try to use you in some sort of way. It's very hard in this modern world, and it's a dog eat dog world. And I hate to say that. It's just like the saying, like, it is what it is, or me asking, engaging in small talk that no one really cares about. That's on very surface level, shallow, to the point where you're just like, okay, like, my soul was not made for this world. My soul is many, 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 like, light years old, to the point where it's like, okay, I was definitely, the soul is so old, it's of the old world religion, to the point where it's like, I was not made for this era, type of thing. Like, you feel like you don't belong. You feel like it's so painful in this world. It's a dog eat dog world. People will step on each other and literally spread pain, like betrayal trauma, and project it on you, to where you're just like, fuck is going on? Like, I really hoped that person was genuine, but wow, they turned out to be like that person. And then before you know it, it's like you attract all of these archonic people to where it's just like you're meeting the same type of person in a different body, and you're just so sick of it, and you're like, is this really how the world is? And it's just like, when I was a little girl, I was like, oh my god, like I can't wait to grow up. And then it happened overnight. Like I grew up so fast, and then now it's just like, wow, this is really how the world is. Like, people want you to have your own everything. If you have something, there's people who use you for it, or people, they will latch on to somebody and they will use them, and it's like, what happened to the heart of the place? Like, what happened to the heart of the people? Like, it went out of the mankind, to the point where there's divine feminines like me who get taken out of our divine feminine energy, sometimes when the energy vampires siphon our energy and suck our chi life force, to the point where, we get put into masculine energy, and it's like our backs are up against the wall, and it's like between a rock and a hard place. And it's like, you really learn how the world really is, how others, unfortunately, negative intentions of others, and their projections of their pain, because hurt people, and then this like spreads to the point where you have to be working these days. You have to be really in the matrix. It's really hard to, if you're blessed and you have like 155k subscribers or 2 million, you're blessed, okay? Your spirit guides are doing something very profound for you, and I know that you're grateful. But like, people who are targeted, divine feminines, for our beauty, for our spiritual gifts, for our spiritual ascension, and the projections from archons or dark karmic witches or wizards or any type of spellcasters, or just, lower vibrations or energy vampires or draconians, they'll wish harm, and then that energy will be casted, and it'll be like spells, or sometimes, like, and I hate to say these words, hexes or curses, to where it's like you have to carefully, like, literally clear this out every day. So I'm going to just take a double rotted selenite, and I'm going to put them together, and I'm going to clear this negative energy out. So what is the difference between a karmic versus a soulmate versus a twin flame? Okay, so soulmates, we'll start there. Soulmate is somebody who you feel like you've known in a past lifetime. You feel like, you've known them for a long time. You get together. It could be a friendship. A soulmate could come in the form of a pet. You could have a pet soulmate. You could have your soulmate and a child and have that bond. Or you could have a romantic soulmate, to where, you come to this life, and soulmates are built around companionship and comfortability and stability, but not stability like to where someone's going to use you, but it's like you have this mutual in common, you have this mutual respect, and they could be your best friend in any of these forms, whether it's an animal or your son or daughter or a cousin, or a romantic soulmate, to where you just experience life, and things flow, and you have that connection. And then a twin flame, there's only 144,000 twin flames out of 7.58 billion people in the world, or souls in the world, because we're all spiritual beings vibrating on a human plane in these physical vessels that are houses to our spirits. So a twin flame, we're chosen, we're picked. A twin flame, before you were born, if you're a twin flame and you know this, your soul is one, and under the divine or source or universe or the gods and goddesses, you make this soul contract with, so the divine, the gods, they split the soul into two, which one is a divine masculine and the other is a divine feminine. Now, sometimes the divine masculine could be in the form of a woman body, and she could have masculine energy, and vice versa. Or sometimes the divine masculine is the man, and sometimes the divine feminine is the woman. So, and then when you meet your twin flame, you feel like you're just so soul deep into knowing them for lifetimes. The connection is magnetic, it's charismatic, it's deep as fuck, it's not on the surface, it's passionate. You're going to feel like it's deeper than a soulmate connection. Okay, you could have multiple soulmates. You only get one twin flame. It's the other. It's the counterpart of your soul. So it's the other part of your soul. It feels more than hit you out of the ballpark kind of love. It's deeper than that soulmate companionship, to the point where a twin flame is like, you're very passionate. The connection is intense. You could pick up and feel what the person's feeling or thinking. You have a telepathic connection. However far that twin flame is from you, that person, you're going to feel their thoughts no matter if you're on two sides of the globe. You could be in Africa and they could be in Asia, or you could be in the United States and they could be in the Philippines. It doesn't matter where they are. You always have this divine connection with them. And you could feel them, and they're really spiritually in everything that you do, because it's the other part of your soul. It's the other part of your spirit. To whether if you're the divine feminine and they're the divine masculine, you have this really deep soul level connection. And then there's different stages to twin flames, and oftentimes lots of twin flames get separated in what you call the runner and chaser phase. And then, you know, one usually gets stolen by dark karmics or lands with a karmic, and then the other one chases that one. And oftentimes twin flames of this lifetime, of this collective, they get divided by dark karmic witches and spells, which there was a huge mass consciousness shift back in around 2018, to where lots of divine feminines lost their divine masculines to these dark karmics, or these dark karmic witches, if you will, or even wizards. Karmics could be people in y'all's circle, like his mom, your sister, your cousin, his sister, a false friend or a frenemy who, you know, masks that they're your friend, and they're, oh yeah, no, it's okay. Like, I don't know if you've seen like Country Wayne, and like you see like how Shayla, Amber, and Anthony are. That's very much, you know, a karmic soulmate. I mean, a karmic. You know, I'm not sure what Amber would be if you've seen Country Wayne. Because I feel like Amber's very manipulative, though. I don't really feel like that's Anthony's soulmate. I feel like Anthony is with Amber because Amber provides stability, which a lot of divine masculines since the 2018 mass shift of consciousness and that break in twin flames that we endured and suffered. I feel like a lot of divine masculines wanted to be taken care of, and they were so sick and tired sometimes of like providing and be like holding everything down, to where they wanted a woman that would be you know, a Betty Builder and go out and have her own, whether it's her own house or her own career. And unfortunately, this happened. And a lot of us divine feminines, we have been suffering because, you know, we are divine feminine. You know, the divine masculine, if you're a divine feminine, you know this, the masculine will have you in your soft woman era, to where your full femininity will come out and shine, okay? A true divine masculine will hold it down. He'll protect you. He'll provide for you, okay? He'll have you in your soft girl era, to where your claws don't have to come out. You don't have to be aggressive. You're masculine. Your fire is, you're soft. Like, you're calm. You're tranquil. And this is what, you know, divine feminines, we love this, because a divine masculine will hold it down. Like, they will know how to care for us. They will know how to love us. They'll know how to make love to us. They'll know how to show us provision, and that, you know, they'll support us emotionally, financially, and a lot of, you know, physically. They'll be the rock of the family, the backbone. This is what divine masculines do. But the karmics have come in and they shook up the whole twin flame collective, to where lots of divine feminines had to come out of our soft girl, divine feminine energy, and we had to go into our masculine energy, whether if it was we had twin flame children with our twin flame, you know. And then a lot of these readers on here, a lot of them are wrong, I'm not gonna lie, because they'll be like, oh, you know, you're a twin flame, and they'll have it like backwards, as like to the point where they'll be like, oh, the karmic has his kids and she's holding him there with the kids, which I'm sure that's in some dynamics. But if you're a true twin flame connection, like, I'm sure that does happen. But like me, for instance, personally, I had 2 children out of 4 of my children. I have 2 twin flame daughters with my divine masculine. And we have been down a road of hell, which please go to my last videos, to where I explain my personal experience, my story, my real life story, to where my twin flame got spelled really bad by dark karmic witches who claimed to be Christian, to hide behind that cult of a religion. And, you know, basically his mother came and dropped seeds and planted in his head, to the point where for years, she did this for 6 years, and to the point where she put it in his mind over the course of this time frame that he needed to be with somebody who was going to take care of him, that he was going to live the soft boy era life, that he was going to be in this energy of being taken care of. And she personally would call me and be like, oh, and she was mixed, and she would be like, oh, well, Purdue was like his great grandfather's last name, and I've always wanted him to marry a white girl, and um, she basically told me, like undercoverly, like shadily, secretly, like everything. Her true colors came out, to the point where she admitted openly to her secret manipulations, to the point where she told me enough on the phone. Because after me and his separation, she tricked me at the time, even though I have psychic gifts, I want to believe in the good of people and the heart. And I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, me having a huge heart chakra. And she was like, oh no, I wanted him to stay with you. I wanted you guys to be a family. And she was fooling me and putting forth this mask. And I needed that. I was vulnerable. So I needed something to believe in and trust. And I was so like vulnerable, to the point where I was giving her the benefit of the doubt. And I wanted to think that it was all him. And she was making it seem like it was all him. And it wasn't all him. It was from her and then his half sister. They were dark karmic witches. And then she set us up. We got really attacked after our divine masculine fathers, both my father and his father, passed away. My father passed away and his father passed away within about 13 months of each other. And after our fathers passed away, his mother snuck in there, because his father was the only one on our team, like, okay, I want you guys to save your tax money, I want you guys to get a house, I want you guys to stay together. And he was literally like rooting for us. His mother and his sister were deeply jealous of my beauty. They were jealous that I had both of his twin flame babies. His daughters, they were mad because I had a son previously from a soulmate relationship. I'm a teeny bit older than him by 6 months, excuse me, my twin flame, to where both of our, numbers, we share the same number in our birth dates, but different months, but it's 6 months apart and it's a different year. You know what I mean? To the point where he is my divine masculine twin flame, and it doesn't matter how far we run from each other, or how much we, feel passionately like animosity towards each other, that bond is always going to be there spiritually. Even on the 3D, we could be mad as hell at each other, but that's my twin flame. But I don't think we could ever be together again, because our connection got so interrupted and so blown up by dark karmic witches. And to the point where not only his mother and his sister did this after our fathers passed away, which I want to tell you this real true life story about this. So but the Karmic that he ended up marrying years later, after all the manipulations and the false seeds were planted in his head by his mother and his sister, because it was very much calculated. It was very much secrecy, like clandestine, plotted on our relationship, to the point where it was lots of negative power of the tongue spell manipulation. His mother would call herself a prophetess. She published a book. She had this false archonic building she rented out in Daytona, and she called herself a prophetess. And then she married this dude for his money. And like, it was like she's on her like fourth or fifth husband, and like she did a lot of damage to her son, which is my twin flame, which is the father of my daughters. Psychologically, she took him through a lot of men, to where he was self-medicating at one point really bad before me. And then kind of during our connection, because his mother would put so much emotional pressure on him, she would act like his girlfriend. I would wake up to text messages with her blowing up, oh, hello, good morning, handsome, kiss emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji. And I'm like, she was acting like a girlfriend, to where I figured out psychologically. I have my Bachelor of Science in Psychology. Not that degrees really matter anymore these days. But to where it was to the point where it was mother-son enmeshment. And she was enmeshed with her son, and she was more like emotional. Like, she used him as an emotional spouse, to where she was just with her physical husbands on a physical, intimate level, and there was nothing deep. She would falsely pretend and portray like she cared about them, but she was using them. And every time that she left one, she would cheat on the next one with like 100 different men. No lie, 50 men. I'm not kidding, because I know her like the back of my hand. I know that she lies. I know that she cheats. She's opened up and she's told me a lot of things. I'm not going to put that on blast right now, but she's stolen from me. She stole not only my twin flame, she stole my sacred pyramid. I had a pyramid pink Himalayan salt rock lamp that I ordered from eBay years ago, and she lied to me about that. The divine showed me in a vision to where like she was like, oh, that landlord of that duplex, no, she threw everything out. No, I saw a vision of her stealing it and putting it in her storage unit, and then she would just never allow me into her next houses. Like, first they took me and they split him and I back, and I'm just gonna call him C in these videos. So they took C from me, her and her sister the first time when his father was still alive. We were in a duplex in Daytona, and it was the hood. Like, it was off Orange Avenue. Like, I've lived in the hood before, even though I grew up in the suburbs. It doesn't matter, but to the point where I had just had his baby. It was my second baby, because like I said, I had my first relationship with a soulmate partner that I met through my blood brother, who was one of his best friends, to where he gave us the blessing of being together, and that was my soulmate. I have a soulmate child first. He's an angel incarnate. I'm just gonna call him A. That's my son. And then my twin flame, we're gonna call him C. So his mother and his sister in that duplex, right after I had my first fairy on a daughter, she's fairy incarnate. She's very spunky, and she's very, like, my daughter is fairy energy. Like, she also is a divine feminine. I'm looking at her picture right now, and she's very like vibrant and full of life. She's very jubilant. She's spunky. She's a whole vibe. And she tells it like it is, like her mama. And she's very much very lively. And so I had her, and I had A, my first soulmate son. He's the angel incarnate from Archangel Michael, who made me give him the name, his birth name. But anyways, his mother, my ex-mother-in-law, was negative energy, like manipulating him and making us fight and making him go on pills. He was like taking pills. He had this addiction to where he would take these, I don't know, one time he was at his furniture job, and he would take he came back and told me he was smoking a lot of weed with his friend Todd, and then they wanted to go to Colorado and open up like a factory of the hybrid, I don't know, strands or something, and I'm not into that. And then he would tell me one time he came back and he did Molly in the warehouse, and I'm just like, what the, like, and it was making me angry and come out of my goddess energy to my divine and feminine. It was making me go into a divine masculine, like the goddess rage, to the point where his mother was just putting so much pressure on his shoulders and demanding him be her whole emotional support system, to where, like, he was like a therapist. He was like an emotional husband. It was horrible, like the way this mother was with my twin flame. And like, after we would make love, like, she would force him to call her on the phone. He would go outside. She would talk a lot of trash about me, to the point where I couldn't do it. Like, I was like, okay, like, what? And then like she would come over, and then like their knees would touch, and like she would have a short dress on, and like no pantyhose, no stockings, and then he would have shorts on and their knees would touch. And like, if that was my brother and my mom, or me and my brother, we'd be like, ew, like, okay, sorry. Like, but no, they were like so comfortable to where their knees were just staying there for like 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour. And it kind of makes you think, like, did she do something sexually to my twin flame when he was young that he does not remember? Like, did she do something to him? Because, this woman is acting like not only like he is an emotional spouse, but that, he's very vulnerable, and emotional vulnerability can be very intimate, okay? And then the way that her text messages were to him was not normal. They were severely enmeshed. It got in the way of our connection. It got in the way of our parenting. She was literally down his throat. Like, she was so, I don't even know the word. Like, she was so scandalous, and like she was always putting things in his mind, and he would just listen to her and just suck these things up, and to the point where he was just so archonically influenced by this woman's poison, to the point where, like, I lost my twin flame because she was acting like, not only, she wasn't even acting like a mother, she was acting like his wingman, because she was behind him, encouraging him to do online affairs and tell her about all of her fucking affairs behind all of her husbands' backs, because this woman had 4 or 5 husbands. And it was disgusting and sick, and to the point where she had me thinking at one point, even with my psychic gifts, she was like, call me, and then she had me try, like, this woman had done so many things. She's a dark karmic witch, and she hid behind Christianity. She hid behind being a prophetess and having, clairvoyant gifts. But she was using these gifts for the wickedness of her heart. She wasn't using them for the greater of mankind. She was using them to manipulate him, to turn him against his divine connection with his divine feminine, which was me. And I was watching this, and it was like a movie, but it was like before my eyes, and I was literally like in this like drama series, like it was like a novella, and I was like, when is this shit gonna end? It's like a fucking nightmare, on top of the energy vampire ex-brother-in-law drug addict that came into my life when I was 9.5, 10 years old, that did so much hell, and I want to go there right now, and that, gave my sister Nate Jacobs and turned my sister, like, I don't know, just like a shell of her former self, to the point where, like, these archons will literally come into your world, and they will twist and manipulate things to their favor. Like, they're so sneaky, and then they will literally have everyone thinking that you're the villain, and that they're like this perfect angel who worships Jesus Christ on the cross, and they're Christian, so they're accepted and they automatically belong, and then they start listening to each other, and then it's like a masquerade, and it's like just people dancing with these facades and these masks on, and then you believe the bullshit that comes out of your mouth. But then it's like, if you're spiritually awakened like me, you could see through the masks, you could see through the manipulation, you could see the spirits in their eyes, you can literally feel the spirits in their souls, you could feel the wickedness in their hearts and those evil. So it's just like, if you're spiritually awakened, it feels like a curse until you really come into your divine power, but you lose a lot of people, you lose a lot of relationships, you lose that comfortability. Okay, what I wanted to tell you guys was, in a karmic, okay, so his mother is a dark karmic. So karmics are like people that come into your life, that you go into their life, and the connection is like you just learn lessons, and then boom, you're supposed to go the other way. So him as a man and as a divine masculine should have been like, okay, and I hate to do the shoulda, woulda, coulda thing, but it's truth. So should have put his boundary down even after his father passed away, which he claims he did, but I don't feel like he was strong-minded enough, and he should have been like, look, I love her. He claims he did this, but in my spirit, I don't feel like he did. I think that he said this to just keep trying to come back and be intimate with me, or me not put him on child support or whatever it was, which is a whole other video, that his mother manipulated, like, everything from, like, she sabotaged everything, from him being on child support, to him being with his new karmic, to setting him up, to after his dad passing away, conditioning him to slowly leave our connection, leave our bond, and leave our children and our family, and go and be with this white karmic woman. No offense to if you're Caucasian, okay, but this, I'm just telling you, how, I experienced this, and his mother is, she's mixed, she's, Native American, Indian, and African American, but she looks more African American, and then, she says somewhere down the line, she's got, like, Purdue, which is Caucasian, I don't know, and then she told me some delusional stuff, saying that she thought she was Marilyn Monroe. One time she called me and was like, oh, I think I was Marilyn Monroe in a past life, and I'm like, dude, you're delusional, like, you're losing it, because first of all, we're in the same lifetime as Marilyn Monroe, and obviously that cannot happen, because if you're alive, and you were alive when Marilyn was alive, because she was born in 1957, my ex mother-in-law, you cannot, how could that be possible if there's another soul in another body, and that's Marilyn Monroe, and then you're living that same time? Like, it's impossible. And she literally thought she was Marilyn Monroe, and then she called her son one time when we were together and said that Shaquille O'Neal was following her. So I knew something wasn't right. Like, I knew that this woman was out of touch with reality. I knew she was delusional. And then he had told me, like, okay, like, she takes medication. And then I found out, like, she ended up calling me and just trying to manipulate me and just talk to me and try to get information about, like, oh, what are past lives? What are twin flames? What are soulmates? Can you do a reading? And she was trying to really seep in there and try to archonically manipulate me to where she was gaining information, and then she was going back to him and she was using that information against me to make me look like my spiritual gifts were crazy, to make him further stay away from me. So this is what they do, okay? They'll try to make it seem like they're your friend and they care, but they're really just getting information and getting your business from you, to the point where they will manipulate masses of people around you to look at you like you're crazy, or to frame you for something like a villain outlook, perception that you're not, that they want other people to see you as, because, you know, they're jealous of you, or they just don't fucking like you, or you're just on a different energetic frequency, or they're in secret competition with you, or they want to covet what you have, or they're jealous of the way that divine masculine loves you, or they're jealous that you have his kids. And it's just so much, to the point where, okay, so his dad passed away, and this is what I wanted to tell you guys. And his dad passed away, and after his dad passed away, she completely swooped in there and took advantage and was like, and I want to find my arrowhead because I'm going to start cutting. And he, hang on, you guys, because it's really dark in here. Here it is. Oh, wait, that's not it. She swooped in there, okay? Hang on a minute. It's getting cold again in my throat. I feel some type of way, but I'm good. It's over here with my feather, I believe. Yep. So she swooped in there, my ex-mother-in-law, and she literally, I remember we were supposed to go to his funeral up in Georgia, so we live in Florida, and to the point where her daughter from her, like, first or second marriage, I think it was like her very first marriage, we're going to call her S. So S came up there, and D, that's his mother, my ex-mother-in-law, she arranged it to where S had me and my first son, my soulmate child, from a different man. The man that I was with for about 10 years. It was really 8.5 years. My soulmate child, A, we'll call him A. And basically, D, my ex-mother-in-law, arranged it to where we were divided and separated. So where me and A, my soulmate son from another man, rode up with his sister, who, and then, you know, C, my twin flame, rode up with his mother D, and then his like fifth stepfather or whatever, like the fifth marriage that this woman was on, to where, you know, she arranged it to where she tore my twin flame away from me, and I meant to say my twin flame daughters also rode with my twin flame and his mother and his stepdad, and we were divided. And it was always like that, to where she put this division in the family, to the point where she would call my mother, or he would call, she would literally call my mother, and she would have my mother and him, and he would secretly take my daughters and go and meet all of them, and I was never included. I was doing tarot readings, and they made me seem like I was such a bad person because I did angel readings and I had crystals, to the point where I was excluded from everything, and so was my first son, to his mother. So his mother was like dividing the family, and my first son, he felt this, you know, and he was really sad, and I sensed this deeply from him, you know, and I hated it like that. I hated the dynamic that she put on me and my son, and I hated that, you know, I wasn't accepted into her family, and she tried to divide us, and I hated the way she made me feel, and the things that she would do, and how she would manipulate things to her advantage, and then make me end up feeling drained or exhausted or like shit, and she would really hurt me, you know, and it was just like I was getting drained. I started getting attacked. I started getting headaches. I started feeling tired all the time, not motivated. I remember I was trying to do my business in the hotel. We lived in Extended Stay Americas and just different hotels with kitchenettes around Orlando, and I just remember like trying to balance Moon Goddess Charm, my spiritual business, and being a mother to my 3 kids. But it was like all of these karmics who hid behind Christianity, you know, they were talking about me, saying that I should go and work, saying why does she drop her master's program, just saying just negative things about me. Oh, she's a witch, making me different from them, separating, you know, using that religion, archonic cult bullshit, against me, and just like meeting up with my twin flame behind my back, gossiping about me behind my back to my twin flame, or amongst each other behind me and my twin flame's back, and then meeting with my twin flame children, my daughters, and my twin flame behind my back at like Chuck E. Cheese. And this shit really profoundly affected me back then, not now, because I've surpassed these feelings. I grew and I evolved. But when my ex-father-in-law passed away, Mac, okay, so Grandpa Mac, he was really cool. He was just like, I want you guys to get a house. Like, I'm rooting for you. Like, I want you guys to stay together. He loved, my daughters. He ended up passing away suddenly after my father passed away. And then after these masculines of the family passed away, the darker divine, not divine anything, but the dark karmic witches came for us, to the point where they didn't only put division in my family amongst my kids, but they made me to be like this villain in their story, because I didn't have the same religious beliefs as them. I was, very spiritually awakened. I'm very profoundly, sensitively psychic. I was born with these gifts that, I was chosen. Like, I didn't choose this. Like, this is the way that I am because the divine had chosen me for this. And I'm still surprised, because, I have medicine woman gifts, and like, you would think that like for my gifts and, for my, like who I am, I would be more respected and I would be more cherished and loved. But no, it made them jealous, and it made them lash out at me, and it made them make me the enemy. And it was just like, whoa, like, it was very wicked, to the point where like I had like people in my own bloodline come for me and my things, and my children, to the point where I was homeless. I was living on a stairwell. I was living in my car as well. And it was just like, it spread throughout the family. And it was like this, a lot of it had to do with my ex-brother-in-law and his dark shadow entity people, which there's a dark shadow that's in this house from him, and there's 3 of them. And then that influence over my mother's mind, as well as my ex-mother-in-law's influence over my mother's mind, to where my mother and me, we come from a line of medicine women, midwives, and doulas. My great-grandma is, she was revered for her, delivering babies and helping mothers before, during childbirth, and after, like postpartum, to the point where, I kind of like, and I love my mother, like, we've had our tiffs. I do. I love my mom. That's my mom. She's my one mom of this lifetime. I'm never going to have another mom. You know what I mean? But it's just like, I'm kind of surprised, to the point where, okay, like, I have great grandma Antonia's gifts. Like, why didn't you protect me more? Why didn't you protect me from Matt? Or why didn't you protect me from, the situation, and it's like, there's nothing I could do to control another person. I'm not a witch. Like, I don't use magic. Like, I literally have learned to embrace my own gifts and my divinity and my goddess powers, to the point where, like, I've forgiven my mother, and I know that she did the best that she could with what she could deal with, like, mentally. Like, she was going through things as well in her health, as she was going through things with my sister and her kids and her ex-husband. But I just needed more emotional support, like the way that she supported my sister and my sister's kids, and she protected my sister and protected her kids, to the point where I thought she would be like that with me. But, her kids and her, my sister, as well as her ex-husband, they like kind of archonically took over my dad's house and influenced my mom, to the point where, I was homeless, and they didn't want my kids coming back here. And it's like, this is what I mean with archonic projections and, these, negative energy influence. Like, my ex-brother-in-law was very shrewd. He was very snake in the grass, like my ex-mother-in-law, who, we're going to call her D. Okay. So, when these forces kind of overtook my mom, it's like, in a way, it's like I kind of like lost my mom, because like I didn't have her emotional support anymore. And I was like, okay, so like my dad has passed. He was affected by Agent Orange. And then it was just like all of this hate like spread from my ex-brother-in-law, from his sons, to my sister, to my mom, you know what I mean? From my ex-mother-in-law and her daughter, to my mom. And it was like all of these negative things were being said behind my back, to the point where I was just really preyed upon, and my vulnerability was taken advantage of after, my twin flame was ripped away from me, and I was in a huge amount of pain and suffering to the point where I had to learn exactly what role these, you know, characters, played in my world. I had to see, okay, well, she's on that side. Like, she did this to my kids, and she did that to my kids, and she did this to our things. She let this happen to our things, whether it was my ex mother in law or my sister. You know what I mean? Like, burning my face in front of my daughters, trying to understand why my mother didn't pull her off of my hair because she started pulling my hair. Trying to understand this. And even though sometimes I won't understand it, sometimes it feels like it's an alternate reality, but and when I was living in my car and when I was exiled from my father's house and I was going through all these attacks from these dark karmic witches who hid behind Christianity and, these reptilians and things like this, these archonic, lower vibrational energy vampires and the alpha draconian Nate Jacobs, it was just like I was getting hit every which way to the point where I had to really learn, okay, like this is my energy and that's their energy. It was never my dark energy that I was taking on and sponging. And I did not mean to ramble for 45 minutes and not cut or do anything. But, like, this is like, and then what I want to tell you about my twin flame is after, his father passed away, we were divided like that to where we went to his funeral up in Atlanta. It was Atlanta, Georgia. It was very bleak, to the point where she made it to where I could not sit with her son and I had to sit in the back with the people. And this woman was so malicious. She was like, well, he didn't marry you. You didn't take on his last name. So you're going to sit on back there with your daughters. To where I needed help with my daughters during that funeral service. And she literally had acted like an actress in a play to the point where she was standing on the church steps and she was like, oh, Mac. And then she cried in front of her latest husband. Like, she felt so bad for, C's father. And it was just such a display of like bullshit. It was so like delusions of grandeur. And I was looking at her like I saw right through this woman and I'm just like, you're sick, you're deluded. And like to the point where I was disgusted with my twin flame at this point because he wasn't sticking up for me and I needed a fucking man, excuse my French. I needed him to be in his divine masculine. And I needed him to be like, no, like, you're gonna be with Sarana. You're gonna be with her. I love her and you're gonna love her and she's a part of this family. And even though we're not married yet because we were engaged, you're going to respect her. She's going to be revered. He didn't do that in front of me. He tried to say that he went to her house and did it, or his sister's house when she was there and said that. But in my spirit, I don't feel that was true. So it's like, these people will do you wrong. They will literally play in your face. They will play behind your back. This is why we're going to cut all these cords. Okay? To the point where they will make it seem like your whole life is a mess. They will plot behind your back. They'll make you lose everything. They'll make you lose your twin flame. They'll make you lose your engagement. They will fucking sabotage everything. They'll make you lose. I was getting preyed upon. My vulnerability was being taken advantage of when I was a single mother. I started getting abused by Nate Jacobs. I started getting abused by his mother. My mother started going in on me with them. Like, literally, it was a lot of fucking shit that I had to endure for, the spiritual goddess awakening path, to the point where I was like, what the fuck, like, is going on? And Layla, my blue nose pit bull, she is freaking the fuck out right now. But, like, I had to go and lose, like, so many connections to really go within and have ego deaths and shed old habits and really know people's role of, like, the martyr in the play. Like, you know how you're, like, the main character in the play? Well, you get to really know who's really behind the mask, especially if you have spiritual gifts. And I am a spiritual teacher. Layla's freaking out right now, Laylita. So I had to learn this the hard way. And I just remember, like, being at that funeral, and I just remember, like, this show that his mother was putting on. It was so superficial and it was disgusting to me. And then we went to, like, the funeral dinner where everyone was eating and people were just, like, giving me these dirty looks. They were making it known to where I didn't belong with them because I wasn't the same skin color as them. They were making it to the point where I was just so different and that I just I wasn't accepted and I was so judged. I just remember feeling so judged and so out of place and just being like, damn, like, where is the love? Like, they did not show me any type of love. They were very jealous of me or envious of whether it was my beauty or just, me having his twin flame children to the point where, and he was acting like his mother's like emotional wife and she was acting like the emotional husband. They were so disgustingly enmeshed to the point where I was like, and I had to break it off. I was like, I cannot be with somebody who's going to have this level of intimacy with their mother. Like, sometimes she would play the role of his wingman. I would read these text messages and it would be like when he leaves his phone open, obviously, as his fiance, I would pass by, I would see it, or it would just be right there. He would run to the bathroom, and I'd be like, "Hey, good morning, handsome. Hey, handsome. How's your day? How's work going?" Kiss emoji, heart emoji, kiss emoji, kiss emoji, kiss emoji, and it's like, okay, are you playing the role of a girlfriend, of a wife, and mesh with him? Because you're not playing the role of a mother. And then I would hear her sometimes on the phone, and he would have to literally leave the room to the point where she'll be like, "Oh, you're over there again," to the point where like she would enforce him to literally go on websites and go behind my back and like literally try to convince him to go to Karmics and just these empty connections. And she was so jealous and hateful of me to the point where I was like, fuck did I do to you? To the point where she would rage bait me and I would be taken out of my divine feminine soft girl energy or my soft woman era, and I would be rage baited to where she was energy harvesting me, and then she was like taking that sacred goddess rage of the angst, the frustration, and me calling her a cunt to her face because she was trying me like left and right, to the point where we got into it a couple of times, and I put her in her place, and I called her the C word, and I let her know, to the point where that fueled her fire to really go in there and break us up and manipulate him against our marriage. Because what we were supposed to do was we were supposed to get married, and I had the rings. I had a black diamond heart ring, and then before that I had a beautiful like triple diamond ring with baguette diamonds. We were engaged, and we were supposed to go to the courthouse and get married, and then a year later we were going to renew our vows on a cruise ship, to where she was opposed to it and she didn't want him to. She did not want me to have his babies. She was just against it, and she wanted him to be taken care of by this white karmic partner who was going to go and be in her divine masculine energy and go out and get a job like, Barbara the Builder, and go and give him the life and him be in the soft girl energy. And it's like, no. But like, she ultimately got him to do that. So I learned how to let go. And then I learned how to be a free spirit. And then I learned how to surrender. And then I learned how to basically just live my best life. So this where I am right now is, I was living my best life last year to where, when I am a walking soul, lately it's freaking out right now, to the point where, I'm a Blu-ray soul from Sirius and from Pleiades and from Orion, to the point where when I was with Serana, in this body, Serana was living her last best life days, like for like the last 6 or 7 months, from it was like May 15th all the way up until like January 11th or December. But then my soul fully integrated into the body and hers came out January 11th, 2026, which was this year. But I came into this body, into this physical vessel, the week of May 19th through the 26th. Okay, so it's a huge, profound difference because, like, I'm still trying to get used to being in a human body. I'm trying to take care of this vessel that's not my original form. I'm trying to, balance like exercise, and I'm very free spirited, and I'm much more extroverted than Serana's soul was. She was an introvert. I think she was an INFJ, or no, she was an INFP. And I'm more of the ISFP. I'm the free spirited. I did my Myers-Briggs personality, and I'm the adventurer personality. So my personality of this Blu-ray soul in this body is the adventurer. I think it's like IS something P, and then she was an INFP. So I am very much of a free spirit to the point where I love the outdoors. I love spontaneity. I love, whether it's going canoeing, on the jet ski, hiking, walking, you know what I mean? Taking photographs of nature, going fruit picking, I'm very much like a free-spirited person to the point where I have to have adventure in my day-to-day life. Like, I can't be cooped up in the house all the time. And I'm not talking about like going to the club. Like, no, this is not any of that basic Betty shit that like we did when we were like 17 or 18 or 21. I'm talking about like really living my life to the point where like if I desire to go and have fresh air for 5 hours and, vibe out in the wind and go and, do a sightseeing walk or a cardio walk in nature, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to fruit pick. I'm going to pick flowers. I'm going to pick leaves. I'm going to use them in my healing sessions. I'm going to incorporate Mother Earth's bounty into my daily life, into my rituals, okay? Because I am a shamaness. I'm a spiritual teacher. And the very essence of the goddess incarnate is healing and the sacred rose, okay? So yeah, no, it was a lot with twin flames, okay? And then if you're a karmic partner, like I said, you just go into that person's life to learn lessons, and then like when those lessons are up, you turn your backs and then you go separate way, you vibe out. But a lot of these woundings were from childhood conditioning or childhood traumas. Yeah, you guys, it'd be like that sometimes, what I just did. So, I'm going to kind of take this and I'm going to kind of cleanse your energy now, because I just kind of poured my soul out to you, my personal story of my twin flame. And I'm going to cleanse your aura with this leaf. It's this fell in my path in my divine nature walk the other day. I walked 24 miles within 72 hours, okay? It's a lot of miles. And it was 3 days of walking 8 miles each about, and I literally was like, okay, like I'm going to rest today. I'm going to eat. I actually ate some meat today, which I usually do a plant-based diet, not by choice, but just to transition in to the body. I was so hungry. I had to eat meat and carbs today, as well as spinach leaves. Once in a blue moon, like twice a month. Once a month I'll eat meat, but a couple times a month I'll have some carbs, like, rice with my spinach leaves and my sunflower seeds and my, lemon sprinkled on it with eggplant, some black grapes, things like this. So I'm just going to be pulling out any hooks still with the selenite, because we want to pull out any hooks from manipulators, negative energy, influencers, archons, reptilians, wicked spirits that were, they were trifling and they were sucking that soul life force out of your relationship, which we need to get rid of. And I'm going to take these amethysts and pull this away and blow out. So yeah, a lot of stuff had happened, but I'm still breathing. You guys, I'm still above ground. Every day above ground is a good day. I mean, I can't really, the afterlife is fun too, but I don't think you can make love in the afterlife. I don't think you can eat food in the afterlife, and that's what makes life fun. When you get to work hard and play harder and you get to experience, right? So, and have adventures and have like these physical vessels that house your soul that you feel pain in, but it's like you can feel pleasure equally. It's like, So what I'm going to do is, I know I am a firecracker. I'm going to cut out negative energy vibrations, you guys, on a more serious note. And this is going to act as a magnet, and it's going to pull negative projections from those dark karmics, and it's going to get it out of you. And my labradorite crystal point here. To the point where I was literally suffering in that twin flame connection because of his mother. She was always like prying on us, and like always all up in our business. And she was so attached to him to the point where like, I found out at his wedding. I remember the day that he got married, and I called the venue and I wanted to see if it was true. It was like a gutted feeling, and I heard like everyone partying and having a good time, and I was just like, wow, like. And then, I found out from the karmic who he married father, he put on his social media at the time. This was like back in 2022. I don't even look at their social medias since then. I think I stopped looking at their social medias around 2022, to the point where I don't give a fuck anymore. But I just remember he was just like, oh, like he put on his status like, oh, I had such a great time at the wedding. The so and so, and then I won't say the last name's wedding, and their names, and like his name isn't even Cardin. Like he changed that name. Like she wasn't even marrying him. It was like this facade of like who he put forth, because his mother wanted it. That was like an arranged marriage. It was very karmically plotted, and it was so superficial. But so her father was just like, oh yeah, we just got done partying with the bride and the groom and the in-laws, and we all drank tequila together and had shots. And like the whole time, my ex-mother-in-law was speaking against this marriage. She was lying to me and saying, I don't want him marrying that girl. I don't like her. And all of this stuff, to the point where she literally was such a negative energy, split personality manipulator, to the point where I'm disgusted with her character now. Like I will never forget like just all of that abuse and that manipulation that she put forth in my life for years. It was from like years 2012 all the way up until 2022, and then last year at the plaza, which was 2025. And it was just, that was so many years of my life that like I can never get back, that bitch like triflingly like tried to ruin my life. And like, I mean, she got her son, my twin flame, to marry somebody else. But you know what? I've grown from this. Like I've survived this. I am very strong. It doesn't make me any less than the next woman that has a husband whose husband honored her. That doesn't mean that, I have a bad yoni. This is not, this is what I don't like about mortals, is that they'll be like, oh, well, she got left. Oh, something must be wrong with her. She must be crazy. No, it's not the fucking female. It is the male. Okay. If the female is unhappy and if she's not, she's not being taken care of, that is a problem that a male has with himself, or that a karmic, a female, a negative energy manipulator has with the divine feminine, to where she will pull away that divine masculine out of her life and out of the kids' lives, okay? And that is the goddamn truth, okay? And I hate to say the GD word, but it's the truth, okay? And it is so true, to the point where I'm still disgusted with my ex-mother-in-law's actions, with her plots and her plans, and with who she is, or who she thinks she is as a person, because she really ain't shit, to me, to the point where I don't like the bitch, okay? I want her to stay far the fuck away from me. I never want to speak to her again. And I don't forgive and forget. I remember and I recover, okay? And I'm a strong goddess, and she knows what she did. She plotted that to the point where she even called DCF and made false reports on me for years, trying to get my daughters taken away from me and have them go over there, so he wouldn't be on child support. Or how she'd manipulate me and said, oh yeah, I'll come back to you in 6 weeks, just drop the child support order. And she, and it was all a lie, a ploy. I was trying to say lie and ploy at the same time. So it was just like she had done a lot of damage to me, and then she archonically hooked into first my sister and her made allies, and then she made allies with my mother, to the point where I was the villain because I didn't have the same spiritual beliefs as them, and all of a sudden I was the witch and I was the bad guy and I was the fuck up. And they made it so divided, to the point where my own family was fucking attacking me. They were attacking me and my children when we were without our divine masculine for years. They were attacking our things. They attacked me and my baby. My baby almost got killed by Nate Jacobs, the fucking Archon, to where he would put chulote, like Mexican sauce, like hot, really wickedly hot sauce, like the world's greatest, hottest hot sauce, in my son's noodles, as well as his chihuahua's poop with formaldehyde in his high chair, and make my son, also named, we'll call him Preston Roman, made Preston Roman go to the poor ER, to where 2 EMTs, 2 nurses, and a doctor had to hold him down, and they had to give him, administer him shots to bring him back, because he was literally not opening his eyes, or he was just bright pink, and his fever shot up to 102 to almost 104 degrees, to the point where he was suffering, and then he would go in these wicked hot night sweats. He was getting spiritually attacked and then physically attacked from Nate Jacobs, who got away from with all this shit. Okay, it was just so wrongful, and like, you know, he lived through it. My son is a strong soldier like his mama. He's a spiritual warrior, and Nate Jacobs, being dark from the dark realm from his druggy father, he knows that him and his father and his brother and his mother are dark, and he knows my son Preston Roman Prince is light. He's a prince angel, and he's very much light energy. Okay, to the point where he was jealous of my son, to where he put it in my mother's mind to where he didn't want my son in my father's house. First of all, this ain't even his father's house. He should be with his father at the beach somewhere. He shouldn't even be in my dad's house. This shit was literally let in from shadows, from the darker realms, the jinn. Okay? The jinn came into this house the day that his father Matthew stepped into this house, and they archonically corrupted my mother's mind, and they took over and intruded my father's land, and that's what's going on, and this is the truth. It's a very spiritual basis. Okay, my nephew is an alpha draconian. He is not, you know, you guys just don't know what I went through, and I hope you never have to fucking understand, because it's so corruptive and abusive and so twisted to the point where I could write a book on the shit and change the names for legal purposes only and make millions off on Amazon, which I really should get a publisher and an editor, and I really should type this up, because I am just sometimes so sick and tired, you know, of carrying it in my spirit. I'm going to be taking out negative projections. It's not mine to carry. Just like all these projections from the wicked, dark, karmic witches, it was never your energy, okay? It's getting really cold in here. It's getting cold outside again. I'm not going to go for my night walk tonight. I was going to, but the weather has changed. I'm going to put some Reiki on you guys. I'm going to use this to put some sacred rose energy into you guys from this. These are the sacred roses and cinnamon sticks and bay leaves and rose leaves. Can't really see it in this lighting. I apologize. I apologize for Nate Jacobs' dog in there barking his head off. You know, I feel sorry for that animal too. It has a soul in its body, and, you know, it's suffering. It's voicing, set me free. I'm hungry. I need to pee. I need to defecate. Like, so let me put in this Reiki energy into this feather and kind of fluff your aura now. That was some Usai Reiki symbols. I'm going to use my selenite now, and I'm going to be sealing any leaks in your aura. I'm so sorry about Nate Jacobs' chihuahua, his dog. I have no control over this, okay? Sealing your aura, sealing any leaks, any hooks, any perforations. We're going to seal this now. Yeah, these negative energy archons, they will try to just perforate into people's minds, the people that are supposed to care for you and show you love every day, and if they have a weak mind, or if they're archonic or are being controlled by any sort of cult that hides behind religion, they will be, that's the more easily influenced they will be to these archons, to these wicked-hearted people, to their you know, manipulative spirits and their wicked souls. I'm just disgusted, you know, because like I look back on everything I survived and everything I trekked through, and I'm just like, wow, like that's you? Oh, okay. So this is my energy. I'm going to stay right here, and that's you. Go over there and leave me the hell alone, to the point where like, bye. You know what I mean? So I'm going to use my spirit quartz right here. This is my mama spirit quartz, and I'm going to cut any negative energy projections from your aura, and then we're going to seal up and close. Oh, we're going to call our power back to us as well. We're going to affirm. And we're going to dismiss and reject any karmic retribution. We're going to cancel, clear, delete any karmic contracts that we may have made with these karmics, and we are not going to reincarnate with them ever again, because our souls have evolved and we don't need to experience this pain for another lifetime. So now I'm going to take my tangerine aura quartz and I'm going to affirm and repeat after me. I now cut and sever and reject any karmic ties, past, present, or future, across all timelines, across all lifetimes, across the 4 directions, and I sever these lower vibrational ties from harming my energy. I am divinely protected. 3 times 3 times 3, as I will it, so mote it be. Now I'm going to take my Earth Shaman calcite, do some crystal scratching, and then I'm going to cut this off. If anyone knows how to make a website, let me know. Okay, if you know how to do a website builder, let me know how to make one, you guys, because I'm getting email after email. Thank you for your emails. I read them, yes. And, you know, they're telling me to make a website. They're telling me to sell my services, which this is, you know, y'all are speaking through my spirit guides. Like, my spirit guides have been telling me this, and you guys are confirming these messages from spirit, from the divine. So I really need to get on this, get on the ball here, and really create, because I've come back into my divinity. I've come back. I've called my goddess birthright and my power and my energy back to me, and you're going to do this too. So we're in our power. We're in our power. We're in our power. I'm going to find my, I want to find my citrine points. It's really cold in here. And if I shut the switch off for the fan, it's going to turn off. The citrine point is, it's got to be over here. Sorry, you guys. It's just very dim in here. Well, right now, I know my spirit guides told me earlier to use this. So I'm going to be putting a ball of light energy around your aura with this chakra organite dome. Organites, they fight pollutants, they fight EMF, they fight those harsher chemicals. They repel archons, they repel reptilians, they repel alpha draconians. So I'm going to kind of embody its energy because I am a sponge, I'm an empath. I'm going to make a healing chi ball for you guys. I'm going to imbue Sun God Ra's sun here, the Ankh for protection, as well as some Reiki symbols. I'm going to be putting this around your aura, blessing your auric field, your energy, as well as your chakras. And blowing it on you. Okay, you guys, so I want you to call your power back to you, okay? Hold a crystal in your hand, and I want you to say, call all of my energy and my power back to me. I call what is in my divine birthright. Here you are. This is what I was looking for, my golden citrine. I call my goddess or my god birthright and energy and power and destiny back to me. I call back to me what was stolen from me from energy vampires, dark karmic witches across all realms, all timelines, all past lives, this current life, all dimensions, and across the 4 directions, in the name of Sun God Ra, in the name of Goddess Mayat, in the name of Goddess Hathor, in the name of Anubis, in the name of Inanna, in the name of Bast, in the name of Isis, in the name of Sekhmet, 3 times 3 times 3, in the name of God Thor, so mote it be, and so it is. So now that you've called your power back to you, I'm going to seal leaks in your aura, and I'm going to take my apophyllite as well as my, this is my angel aura quartz, Lemurian quartz, and I'm going to seal, and I'm going to be doing Reiki symbols in this and putting it around your aura. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. I thank you so much for being here. Remember, you are the light, you are the love, and you are the medicine. If you want to make a donation or show the, you know, some love and support the channel, please do it to Mermaid Priestess. My Cash App is Mermaid Priestess 222, or Sun Goddess Magic. I love you guys so much. Blessed be.